When we were young, our being asked that which organ is responsible for respiration. What most of us will have answered at the time is that the nose is the organ that is responsible for respiration. But as we keep growing older, we discovered that not only the nose is responsible for respiration, rather the nose is part of a group of organs known collectively as the respiratory system that work together for respiration. Among this respiratory system, we have a primary organ, and this primary organ is known as the lung. Why is the right lung more larger in size than the left lung? How exactly does cough clear away unwanted particle in the respiratory system? And how does smoking cause lung cancer? Welcome to Uma Intellect page, a page where knowledge meets understanding. Sit back, let's learn more on the lung on this episode of today. The lung is a pair of sponge-like tissue that is located in the chest. They take position in the right and left side of the heart, respectively. The main function of the lung is gas exchange, that is, they take in oxygen and give out carbon dioxide. In doing this, they ensure that oxygen needed for circulation is available. The right lung is about 630 grams in size, while the left lung is about 570 grams in size. Based on the vertical size, that is, how long it is, the right and left lung are about 24 centimeters long, but it should be noted that the right lung is much shorter than the left lung. Based on the volume, the total lung capacity of the lung in males is averagely 6.3 liter, but in female the average total lung capacity is 4.2 liter. What do I mean by total lung capacity? Total lung capacity is the maximum amount of air the lung can accommodate at a point. It should be noted also that the total lung capacity does not depend on the gender. What it depends on is how large the thorax is, because the larger the thorax, the larger the space for the lung to develop, and the larger the space for the lung to develop, the larger the lung, and the larger the lung, the larger the total lung capacity, and the larger the total lung capacity, the more ability to adapt to less oxygen. But why is the right lung more larger in size than the left lung? And why is the right lung more shorter in height than the left lung? The right lung is more larger in size than the left lung because the heart, as we have discussed in the previous video, it leans more in the right side of the chest than the right side of the chest. As a result of this, there's going to be lesser room for the left lung to develop than how the right lung is developing. So as a result of that, the right lung is going to be larger than the left lung. And why is the right lung much shorter in height than the left lung? The reason why the right lung is shorter in height than the left lung is because the organ known as liver, it is under the right lung, and if it is under the right lung, it means there's going to be lesser room for the right lung to develop more in height than the left lung. Each lung are divided into lobes. The right lung has 3 lobes, while the left lung has 2 lobes. The right lung has the superior, inferior, and middle lobe, while the left lung have the superior lobe and the inferior lobe. Unlike the heart that are separated into several chambers with different function, the lung lobes has the same function throughout the lung. The only reason why the lobe is there is for various functions which involve providing a backup system and also help to prevent the spread of infection, because the way it is compacted into lobe, it prevents infection from spreading from one side to the other. So meaning if one lobe is affected, they can easily remove that lobe and the other one will be working fine. What is inspiration and what is expiration? Inspiration is also known as breathing in, and it is the way through which we breathe in air into the body. Respiration occurs when some particular chemoreceptor in the body detects that the amount of carbon dioxide in the body is already more than the amount that is supposed to be there. So when those chemoreceptor has detected it like that, they are going to send the signal to the brain, and what the brain is going to do is that it's going to initiate respiration. And the way it's going to initiate it is that the brain is going to send signal to two muscles, the diaphragm, which is an organ, and the external intercostal muscle. So it's going to send signal to the diaphragm to contract, to move downward, and send signal to the external intercostal muscle to contract, to allow the rib to move upward and outward. And in doing so, the lung is going to have more space to expand, and when the lung expands, the volume of the lung increase. And if the volume of the lung increase, the intrapulmonary pressure, that is the pressure in the lung, is going to reduce. And why is that? It's because there's a law known as Boyle's law. This law is a gas law that states that when the volume of gas increase, the pressure of those gas are going to reduce, and when the pressure increase, the volume is going to reduce. So that is the law also happen here, that when the volume of the lung should increase like that in that place, the pressure there of those air, they are going to reduce also. As a result of that, the atmospheric pressure is going to be having more pressure, than the intrapulmonary pressure. And if the intrapulmonary pressure is having lesser pressure than the atmospheric pressure, air is going to be able to flow in to the lung, because as we all know, matter do go from the region of higher concentration to region of lower concentration. So and this process whereby the air is flowing into the lung through pressure gradient is known as ventilation. That is how inspiration occurs. For respiration, it is also known as breathing out, that is process through which we breathe out air into the atmosphere. And it is being triggered when the lung have already expanded to a specific capacity. So when the lung expand to that specific capacity, there is going to be trigger to the brain that okay, initiate the expiration. And the next thing that is going to happen this time is that the brain is going to send trigger signal to initiate the relaxation of the diaphragm and the external intercostal muscle that have contracted before. So when the diaphragm and the external intercostal muscle have relaxed, the lung is going to return back to its normal volume. When it returns back, there's going to be decrease in volume, and if there's decrease in volume, there's going to be increase in intrapulmonary pressure, and if there's increase in intrapulmonary pressure, the atmospheric pressure is going to be lower than the intrapulmonary pressure. As a result of that, the air are going to move from the lung to the atmosphere as a result of that difference in that pressure gradient through the same process known as ventilation. So how does cough help in clearing away unwanted particles in the respiratory system? There are two types of cough. The first is wet cough and the second is dry cough. Wet cough occurs mostly when there's an infection, while the dry cough occurs when mostly there's an irritant or just an abnormal particle. The way it occurs is that when there are some receptor in the specific part of the respiratory system, when they already sense this unwanted particle there, they are going to send signal to the brain to initiate cough. And what the brain is going to do next is that it's going to first initiate a type of deep inspiration. So a type of inspiration whereby it's going to be more deeper than the normal inspiration we know about, because when the signal is sent to the diaphragm and the external intercostal muscle, so they are going to contract in a way that the volume that is going to enter, the volume of the lung is going to gain. The volume of air in the lung will not be more than the normal inspiration. So when that volume have increased and the intrapulmonary pressure have reduced like that, so the vocal cord is going to be closed. When the vocal cord closed like that, so that's when there's going to be signal to the internal intercostal muscle and the abdominal muscle to contract violently. So when they contract, they are going to compress, or they compress those volume. that have accumulated in the lung. They are going to try to compress it, and in doing so, the pressure is now going to be increasing violently, but the volume is going to remain constant. So at the point, the volume that they are trying to compress and the pressure is increasing, at the point the pressure is going to force open the vocal cord, and that's what they call forced expiration. So that forced expiration is what we just send those unwanted particle out of the body, and that's how cough is being initiated. So how does smoking cause lung cancer? Smoking cause lung cancer because most of this smoke, they contain a lot of chemical, and among these chemicals there are about 70 known chemicals that are cancer causing agent, that is, they are carcinogenic. And what these chemicals are going to do is that they are going to pass through the cell. When they enter the body like that, they are not going to be going to the cell. When they reach the cell, they will pass through the cell membrane of those cells. When they pass through the cell membrane of those cells, they are going to go enter into the nuclei, and from the nuclei they will go and meet the DNA. And if they should touch the DNA, they will start mutating it. They will mutate it in a way that instead of those cells, because there's something they call when cell death, because cell death must always be occurring and regeneration of cell. So instead of this cell to die and now one should be produced, they will stay there, and if they stay there like that, it's going to be what is going to be let it numerate. They're going to let it multiply, and if it can multiply like that, that is what cancer is. So cancer will occur like that. Although it's not at first time that it's just going to cause cancer immediately, but as the way it keep going, at the point it's just going to start mutating the cell, and that if it has start mutating it, that's what is going to cause the cancer. So the more someone smoke, the more the risk. So thank you for watching this video. This is my internet page, a page where knowledge meets understanding. So see you in the next video.